Welcome everyone, Byron White here. Appreciate everybody joining in today, especially with the holidays, and certainly a happy holidays to everyone. Hope everyone has a safe and happy journey getting wherever you're going, and more importantly, fun and laughter and all kinds of fun things that the holidays bring on. Especially excited to send off the year this year with a webinar that will hopefully have an impact on all of our careers and workflow in 2014, taking on this challenging topic, pricing writing services. I can assure you, in being in this industry now in the content marketing space for about 13 or 14 years, I can tell you that there are great challenges and difficult to get everyone on the same page when it comes to the value of quality content, what you should pay for it, and all kinds of interesting variables that come into play. So we're going to take on some of those challenges and a couple of general rules about today's presentation. First of all, I'm the only presenter, and second of all, I'm going to try to move through this fairly quickly because I would love to hear some feedback on today's presentation, and of course I know everyone has excitement about getting a copy of my new book, which is going to come to you right after the recording. I'm looking at the PDF right in front of me now that I'll perhaps show you as we go into the Q&A section, so I can point you to some things that might relate to some of the questions you might ask. But I'm really hoping that everyone asks some questions today about this challenge that we're all faced with. So without further ado, and just one more thing, I guess, logistically, everyone will be getting not only a copy of the book, but I'm going to send you a link to the recording of the presentation, which should be available later today. Let's just start streaming through this at this point. First of all, there's some contact information for me. Our parent company is IdeaLaunch, and WriterAccess is the first marketplace that we've been up in existence now for about 3 years. If you take a look at IdeaLaunch, you'll see as my business policy continues, I'm fully transparent with what I do and how I do it. And we have some other exciting models that we're hoping to launch in 2014 that I think our clients and talent will appreciate. So you can take a peek over at that, and certainly feel free to send me a tweet, where it's just sort of an archive of a lot of these presentations that I've done. Tweet me and let me know what your thoughts are on this presentation. And aren't those illustrations cool, by the way? We found a wonderful illustrator that you'll see some of his illustrations throughout that we're using as part of our brand. I'm having actual illustrations done for all the employees of the company. I really like his style a lot. I love branding. I have a lot of history working at agencies like Hill Holiday and other places historically in my career. So I'm a big fan of branding, and hopefully you see that come across with some of our collateral and material that some of you may have seen already. But essentially what we're going to try to do today is to break this up into a three-phased approach. First of all, what are clients expecting, when they pay more? What do they look for? What do they want? Let's all get on the same page with client needs and expectations. And then we'll dive into what writers need and to deliver the high-quality content that customers are demanding. And only then can we bridge the gap and hopefully all get on the same page, and we'll actually go through some pricing, which, I believe it or not, even though I wrote a book on it that you're about to get, I've broken the pricing down into 2 slides so you can get a feel for what elements of style and tone and content itself you would pay more for if you were delivered to that level of satisfaction. So it'll be great, it'll be interesting, and hopefully this deck will be helpful for everyone. So let's dive into the customer needs here. It all begins at our lower 2-star level and 3-star level at WriterAccess with work that just very simply must meet some basic grammar and punctuation guidelines. I won't dwell on that. I think we all know what that means, but we take that very, very seriously here in a marketplace like ours, and everyone should really know that and understand that. If you're a 5-star writer submitting work that has spelling errors or grammar errors in it, that is really subject to almost immediate termination, one could say. I mean, I hate to use that word early in this stage, but it really is unacceptable. I think every writer has a responsibility to run their work through spell checks and other forms of accuracy if you're a professional writer. It's just unacceptable to not submit work that hasn't been run through an engine, which takes a matter of seconds to meet various guidelines. But there are some exceptions to this, and that's what's interesting about this particular slide, and that is if it's copywriting for assignment, for example, or it's content that needs a personal style to reflect upon somebody that you're performing writing services for, that might vary from even spell checks. Good copywriting tells a story as if it were being told. It doesn't necessarily adhere to Chicago style or EP style, so we need to keep those things in mind and balance the goals and look closely at what content you're creating. So these are some elements. I won't go through all of these. You can sort of visually look at these and just take a peek at them and reference them later if you need a quick reference. Let's go to accuracy and relevancy. I think a couple of important elements. Is the content accurate? Has it been fact-checked? Is it simply correct? Does it meet the user's needs? Another very important point. Does it solve problems or answer questions? And that's something that, once again, is difficult to pull out from content. How is a writer supposed to read the mind of a client, or are those clear instructions in an order that I need you to solve this problem, here it is, or answer this question? We're actually doing some interesting work for one client in particular that wants all of their titles they're submitting to writers to actually be a question. We're seeing that more and more now. We're also seeing Google results. I'm not sure if you're looking at doing searches on Google, but you're starting to see super long tail phrases, even questions and sentences being dropped into the into the technology. On our content planner, for example, over at WriterAccess, there's a new feature where we're pulling out information of anything that starts in Google with who, what, when, where, and how. You can actually type in a keyword phrase like garden, and the most popular phrases surface to the top, like how to make a raised garden. Go figure, that's the most popular long-tail keyword phrase, but that's something that I think is quite interesting with regards to whether content is meeting the measurement of accuracy and relevancy and how that order is positioned. Food for thought. So, obviously accuracy, is it evergreen content, or were the directions to be more topical and relevant, time sensitive? All these things are more difficult to produce and would obviously raise the quality of the content. Let's look at clarity in the overall flow of the content. Can the reader understand the content? Does the content flow logically and coherently? We see hundreds, if you can imagine, of revision notes, and that's where some of this data was pulled. What are people complaining about with content? What are their problems with it? So we've tried to pull some of the core elements here from revision requests that we're seeing as orders are coming back to writers without proper information to set up, and therefore leaving the client to the writer to guess. So next we look at these sort of bullet points. If content is clarity, has a good flow to it, excellent word choice, that's a big deal, as you'll see that as we carry forward here. Word selection is probably one of the key elements which raises the overall quality standards. Is it concise? Is there a good workflow to the content? Is there an element of cleverness to it? Is it interest-driven? These are some of the elements that I think fit with this particular topic area. And there's engagement in word choice once again. Is there an attention grab? Is there an attention grabber that draws in the reader? Does it work well? Is it organized? Is there structure to it? Maybe the requirements were to break the content up into bite-sized nuggets. Was it easy to read and follow? These are some of the elements that make content engaging and really help push this through. and obviously with poor decisions on the writer's part with the content they're creating, you see, poor word usage, there's theme repetition, articles start to look the same over and over again as if it's been manufactured in the factory floor. As you raise the quality standards here with all of these elements, you need to be careful about that repetition. And so what elevates it, what makes it more valuable, what do customers want? Well, they want stronger words and clever surprises and mastery of the language and these elements that you'll find articulated in detail in the book that you're going to get. So creativity and readiness, that's probably the last category that's worthy of taking a look at. Obviously, the greater the experience and aptitude of a writer to create work that is engaging and interesting and keeps readers coming back for more is an art, and our clients are beginning to ask for that and to place premium orders that are paying writers for that creativity and for that readiness. Readiness is a critical element to judging whether a writer met or exceeded or was below the expectation level. And remember that every order that has gone through our platform, and I'm talking, I think we're up to like 400,000 or 500,000 orders now, every order is rated. Did it meet, exceed, or below expectations? We have the data that makes us understand what is below expectations, and that readiness to publish is really a critical element. It's tough to learn that. You can't read the mind of a customer to learn what's readiness, but hopefully by the end of this presentation you'll learn some of the secrets that we've learned over the years in trying to get to that. So, the creativity, the playful word choice, the polished structure, is it highly engaging, is it easy to comprehend, and does it have what I call snap, crackle, and pop? And I'm going to show you a few slides on that. Some of you I noticed had been to that presentation that registered snap, crackle, and pop, but some haven't. So I wanted to include just 3 or 4 slides so people can understand what I mean when I say content needs to snap, crackle, and pop if it's going to fulfill the ultimate goals of being engaging and getting passed around and shared. Those are the key elements that I see moving forward. So then we've got this whole new tier over at WriterAccess called premium writing and premium orders. Premium orders have a very different, first of all, price point. The standard orders being placed through the platform are 2 cents to 9 cents per word. The premium orders start at 10 cents per word. And go up to $1 per word. And we have 3 different types of premium orders that we feel our customers will be placing: copywriting orders, journalism orders, and tech writing orders. So let's tackle premium copywriting first. Is for that higher level quality that you're buying and ordering, is it straightforward and logical? Is it easy and painless for the reader to follow? Were analogies used? Is the copy really something I can relate to? What are the transitions are there smooth transitions? And is the workflow almost effortless? Is there a creative and clever twist without being too forced, which is a problem that we see all the time? And does it, of course, have that snap, crackle, and pop? That's really what we see at even the lower levels of the copywriting services. And remember, copywriting is a much different animal. When you're pricing copywriting services as well as research, tech writing, or any of these premium writings, you need to look at several variables. What's the complexity of the topic? How much research is required? Do I have the knowledge to write about that topic area? What's the visibility of the topic? Is it the homepage of a Fortune 500 company where conversions are important and messaging and branding needs to be into play? That's how creative work in general should be priced out, with visibility and the complexity of the work and the expertise required to create that work. So when we look at some of these elements of what should I expect when I pay more, we also need to think about those outside variables. But with premium copywriting, I think these are some of the main things. So what do we see when we look at high quality work that's, say, more towards $1 per word? Well, here's some of the things we should look for. It's logical, articulate. You can read these analogies, transitions, conversions, mastery of the topic, as well as the writing skill itself, elegance. But at the lower tier of writers that have not grasped the full skill and proficiency required to create exceptional copywriting copy, it can be confusing or misleading or harmful to the brand, or even references to competition, which we get a lot with assignments that are placed. It's remarkable to me that, even in blog posts or other elements, writers certainly feel a liberty to talk about the competition. But, writers need to understand that whenever you mention a competitor's name, it raises the blood pressure, literally, of clients that are reviewing the work. There is a fine balance, but the point of most copywriting, and in copy that's written to try to sell and motivate and convert, is that it talks about the distinguishing characteristics from the competition, and the distinction of the value proposition from one company to another. So food for thought. Tech writing is also quite interesting. Very difficult section of the book, as you'll see, for me to create. I'm not a tech writer myself, but got some good help and support in trying to look closely at the elements of tech writing with the hundreds of tech papers that I've had an opportunity to work with customers to produce with our team, and with freelancers. And vocabulary, it has to be really aligned with the reader's proficiency. First of all, the writer in general has to have a higher aptitude and a mastery of the topic, and that's really true with all of this content and all the premium writing that you're seeing right now. But assuming that, you really need to understand the target audience, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, and balancing that vocabulary with the reader's needs and expectations when they're reading the content. There's a fine distinction between just listing and displaying the facts and the features and the benefits of a product or a technology or a service, versus flowing that into a story and getting well beyond that. Is the process explained clearly? That can vary considerably from tech paper to tech paper. What we're also seeing, quite interestingly enough, is storytelling beginning to make a play into tech papers. We've actually completed some tech paper orders where customers have wanted a storyteller, namely a copywriter, to get into the mix with creating a tech document, pairing a storyteller slash copywriter slash journalist with a very technically proficient product specialist or tech writer. So food for thought, and an interesting case in point that you may want to think about. So let's move on. So what do we see with tech writing? What are the quick buzzwords? Well, here you have another important list. Terminology, we talked about that. The facts are certainly correct, perhaps a mini story, but these are some other elements. Is it logical? Is it professional? I love this concept of behind the scenes. I think really good tech papers, sort of let you, the reader, believe that you're looking behind the scenes of the product and getting under the skin of the engineers or the entrepreneurs that created these concepts. And that's a great, almost a storytelling angle by default, but one that really, I think, takes tech papers to the next level, commanding those higher rates of $1 or more per word. Visual recommendations. I think any good writer has an obligation to recommend charts and graphs. I think tech papers desperately need relief of that nature, particularly if there isn't a story behind the technology at hand. And of course, polish and humor and punch are elements that you'd find. And of course, everybody can see the bad news on the other side here that I won't go over. Premium journalism, I've had a lot of experience in this space and working with storytellers over the many years, and even before starting Idea Launch and WriterAccess, well back into the first company that I started that was called Freelance Access, and representing journalists and copywriters, and as well as designers and illustrators and lots of interesting people in a company that grew very quickly because of some innovation we brought to the table regarding matchmaking. And this story flow concept was always extremely important to understanding the ability of a writer to create that story and to lure you in, a compelling lead that draws you in. I think it's storytelling is a real art that's beginning to surface again as we start pumping out this massive volume of content that is feeding our thirsty customers and readers. We need to start looking closely at flowing that content and making it work. So the is it clever? Is it captivating? Is it full of creative twists? Does it offer comparisons or analogies that pique our interest? Does it feature a cast of characters, a protagonist, an antagonist? These are the elements, of course, that we all know with great storytelling and difficult to really understand the quality of it until you see it and until you get it. So once again, away with words, a groovy theme. Themes are huge with regards to journalism, and there's so many different palettes that journalists can work off of. Have they selected the right theme and the right palette for a story? Because different stories have different ways they could be told, and how was it told? Is it a slice of life? So some neat ideas that we can all work with. But the real challenge now is to think about, great, okay, I understand, I get it, I need to understand what the needs of clients are. Well, how can a writer deliver that high quality? And I think what it really comes down to is a creative brief. We have created this creative brief that all of you can go to, creativebriefwizard.com. It's a fabulous resource. It's set up as a white label solution. It's not connected to WriterAccess or Idea Launch or anyone else other than the logo that we just put together with our typeface to make it work. But I think that the creative brief, whether you use it or not, I think it's a good resource for you as an individual freelance writer or you as a client to send, to fill out for writers creating your orders, because it dives into the critical elements of what a writer needs to be successful. I want to begin with company descriptions as one of these elements, and I'm going to actually walk through about 5 or 6 elements that I think are key for any writer to understand. Interestingly enough, most companies want to go here first, company description. Tell me about your company. And what we usually get with those company descriptions actually isn't very helpful with regards to a writer creating this high-quality content that you need. We don't get any hints of stories that could be told. We don't get any sense of the DNA for your company. Unless, of course, we go perhaps look at your website or your branding or some elements. But, are you a new player to the industry? Are you established and growing? Are you the industry leader? These are difficult things for you to summarize and sort of get out to a writer, but they're essential and critical if we start looking at this mantra and DNA and position and value proposition. Certainly we want to hear product and service descriptions from a client, as well as your value proposition, and maybe some competitive analysis just to see where you stand apart. But it's almost like less of this and more concise with your distinction, and then more of the following. So obviously the target audience is critical. Who are the readers of your content? By the way, that may vary. We like a separate creative brief filled out for every type of content asset you're creating. This should be different information you're providing for a blog versus a white paper versus a copy for your website. So all of these answers should be very different from asset to asset depending upon who the readers are. If the readers are the same across the board, you could make a case that there might be some different tone and style, but I think you're missing an opportunity to flex your creative muscle and to engage readers orbiting at high speeds and trying to catch them by not bending your copy and flexing it and making it work by varying these answers. So what do you know about them? You know, to be honest, it's probably the most difficult question that I get at conferences when I speak is, hey Byron, how do I find out what the wants and needs of my customers are? You know, and that is, I think, very, very difficult to do. We're getting smarter and better at that by tracking where our customers are going and learning what they read and how they operate and what influences their decisions, even on our own web pages, looking at our analytics, looking at keyword searches that people are looking for on our website. There are signals we're getting right now, but, you know, true branding specialists are digging very deeply in developing personas. And when you have opportunities to share that information of very high-end work and developing those personas, or just following, I actually created a creative brief that was very simple. It had some pictures of different people, and it just asked the customers to describe like 3 or 4 different types of customers that work with you through your personal relationships with them and what you know about them. What's their age group, of course, their demographics. So, this is a part of the creative brief that you'll find. It's who is your target audience? Is it just knowledge seekers versus customers? Is it what's the comprehensive level? Newbies, basic knowledge, or gurus? You can see how this would greatly influence the type of content you would create by learning this information. So do your best here to fill this out, and if you're an agency, of which we're working a lot with right now, we created the Creative Brief Wizard to try to get agencies a nice safe harbor to go ask these questions to their customers, and then have a chance to edit them and fill them in with more color and more detail for each customer that we're helping you create content for. So, what's the objective of the content? Try to describe it if you can. And again, very different goals here: motivating the sale, entertaining and engage, repeat visitation, maybe a series of stories, building the brand. These basically guide content to be written in a much different direction, so you have to take a look at that. So we've sort of stripped it down to a simple box with a couple different options on it that make it easy people to fill that out. Tone and style is extremely complex. You'll see that in a second with some of the screen grabs that I'll show you. But in general, first of all, what kind of writing is it? Is it general writing, copywriting, journalism, tech writing? Pick a flavor and probably pick one of those. You might blend, say, general writing with a flair of copywriting. Maybe it's some blog posts, of which a few of them might be trying to announce a new product line or have some promotion driving to a landing page. But those are key elements. What's the voice for second, third person? What are the elements of style? Tons of choices here. And what are the formatting requirements, which greatly change and alter what a writer works on. So, you can just sort of see it here really quickly. Tone of the writing, a couple different choices there. Narrative style, look at these style elements. I mean, almost too many choices here, but by checking them off, what resonates well with you as the person ordering this content, it removes some of the guesswork and opens up some creative floodgates for writers to really hone in on when they're creating the content for you. So, and I'd love some suggestions if anybody has on that part of this presentation. Is this list a good list? Is it been helpful for our writers to get these things checked off? Have you had problems in execution or in receiving revisions from clients after they've checked some of these boxes off? What's the alignment with these questions we're asking with what's being delivered, and how's that being received? Formatting is something I think we'll start to get very creative on as we move forward in 2014. I think formatting is interesting, particularly with images, in call-outs, in quotes and pull-outs of the content. I see our writers having to do more work in the formatting area and therefore being paid more money moving forward. Headlines have always been important. But I think we need to get deeper than that. We need to call things out, or perhaps there'll be a day when we could highlight things so people could skim read. What we're also seeing with orders even now, because of our robust technology, is when customers are placing orders, they're placing an order for certainly, let's say, a blog post, but they'll also get a Twitter version, a unique Facebook version, a question that the blog post will answer that will be posted on an FAQ section, linking over to the post. There's a lot you can do with content, and a writer needs to understand what those goals are if they're going to deliver to expectations. And additional information, there's a lot more that one could learn, and you need to make decisions on how much data you need to give to a writer. But if it's a complex project, a premium project, and by the way, the more, this is not about dumping all of this information on a writer. If it's a simple 3-star, SEO related blog post that needs to be fairly well written, this is about, you should expect more if you pay more, and how can you achieve the goal? How can you achieve your expectations? So with very high-end orders, perhaps there are, or even higher-end orders, there's sourcing requirements and specific things to avoid. There's legal restrictions. There's naturally SEO requirements. We're seeing that, and our platform facilitates optimization, as we all know. And our technology makes sure that those keywords are placed in order. We're also checking keyword density for clients, so maybe they want to stay below a certain SEO target goal. And there are also research instructions. And I would probably add to this list editing instructions. A lot of our customers are ordering content now with proofreading or editing service. We have a way for them to write in what are the editing instructions, what should the editor be looking for, and I would argue it's actually good for the writer to see what the editor is going to be looking for so they can make sure that there's a sanity check. Matter of fact, maybe we should have an editing instructions and almost make it mandatory, heaven forbid, for a writer to have to fill that out saying, what is the judge of this asset? It's an interesting idea. I'd like to hear some feedback on that. Copyright infringement rules. This is a tricky topic, extremely tricky topic. It's tricky because I would suggest to you that it is not crystal clear in the marketplace exactly what copyright infringement is. For example, if I'm a writer and I'm doing research and I'm trying to spark some interest in some ideas on a particular topic area to create a 3 or a 4-star article. I surf out on the web and I find a great resourceful area, and they have, let's say, 5 tips and advice for, doing something, windsurfing, let's say. Well, if I take those 5 ideas but write my own version of those 5 ideas, is that a copyright infringement? Have I infringed on someone else's ideas? I think that's an interesting debate, and customers will have to make that decision whether or not that is infringement, and that would involve, so if you're the writer, certainly research the topic, research the ideas, but don't steal a similar, don't infringe upon 5 ideas, research some other ideas and put that all together, and you, the writer, decide with your expertise and your knowledge of what the reader base is and what the instructions are, what would resonate well with that pool. That's what you're being paid to do. So we need to understand that. I think we're going to see more instructions in 2014 that have specific rules of both research and what is going to be viewed as infringement. So just make a note of that, because I think that's a very interesting topic, and I'd love to hear some feedback on that as well. So finally, we arrive at samples. And I think that samples are hopefully going to become the secret sauce that we all can gravitate towards to truly understand what the expectations are for content that's being created. If you can provide not only the sample, but what you like and don't like about that sample, actually commenting out the what you're liking and disliking, and even what you'd like to change about that, or improve to make it even better. I think that is ultimately the guide that our writers are looking for. Again, welcome the opportunity on that. But hopefully what this book is going to do for everyone is to give you concrete examples of not only a sample of excellence at various stages and price points, but an explanation of the elements that you'll find in that particular sample for the rate that was paid. That's what I've tried to take on and accomplish. So let's see what you think about that, and I welcome your feedback. So here's yet another link to the creative brief. Please use it. Just want to make sure you had that. All right, so let's see how we pull this all together and get customers on the same page, leaving a few minutes for some Q&A. So first of all, I know that there are clients on this call and clients in our pool of 5,000 clients that are willing to pay for higher quality. I know that for a fact. And so the question, and by the way, this is the first smile we've seen from a client. Notice on all these other examples that I gave you way before, the client is not smiling there, right? So I did that purposely. I brought the smile in because I do think that writers, that clients are willing to pay more for higher quality that exceeds their expectations. So exactly how much more are they willing to pay? Okay, so for a content asset that is accurate in spelling, as grammar and punctuation, a couple cents per word. You know, that's the type of content that's being created in marketplaces like ours. If the content, you know, and again, these are standard orders. These are our 2 cents to 9 cents per orders. Okay, so if a standard order has a solid sentence structure with some variation in it, so it doesn't look like it's, you know, created in a automated manner, in your mind and just cranking stuff out, you know, then there's a couple more cents. If there's some variation and some spice, if you will, you know, I think there's a nice improved flow of the content that's worthy of a couple more cents per word. If there's a strong organization to it, sense to it, and clarity, and it's solid word choice, you know, great use of words, there's a couple more cents. You know, you're getting up to the 6 cents, and we're seeing some elements here that are worthy of paying more for. But really what pushes people up to the 5-star level is that creativity and that engagement that you get when you read it. And that's just an experienced writer that's able to produce content that reads well, clear, concise, no spelling errors, mistakes, or punctuation, but it has that zip, that beginning to flavor that snap, crackle, and pop. So that's really it. It's stripped down, and you're going to see this in the book, and you're going to see these elements and examples of these elements. Now let's go to premium orders. As you can see, there's a lot of elements to the premium order, and this is really what I did in the book is I broke out premium order examples at the 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, and $1 per word. So there's 5 examples with not only copywriting, but also tech writing and journalism. So when you're placing premium orders in these 3 channels, you can see that there will be examples of what you get when you pay more. It's really cool. So, you know, what are some of the elements just to sort of, you know, post them for you so you can see maybe where some of the money can be made moving forward. And by the way, these are hard things to do. Not everybody has the gifts to create these types of elements in the content you're creating, nor do you have, arguably, the knowledge and the insight of what the customer wants and needs. So there's a balance here, and we need to find that balance together, and I'm going to offer a tip on how to do that in a second. So, you know, obviously you've already read most all of these by now, and you can ask me some questions about these, and we could come back to these. But I do think, you know, looking at the bottom of this, a mastery and a command, not only of the topic, but the content itself is clearly demonstrated when you start to get up to that $1 per word. Conversiveness, you know, writers should have opportunities to try you for a particular landing page to see if you have that skill set to make motivate a customer to buy with high-end copywriting. If you have those skills and you can get under the skin of the target audience and learn what motivates them, you need to be paid fairly for that. Certainly creativity, visibility, elegance, professionalism, these are all elements of premium writers that we should assume and expect. But as a writer, you need to stand out and you need to have the appropriate tools in your tool chest to reach that dollar level with all of these variations that you're looking at. So let's move on. So I wanted to just bring in a few slides on quality content and what it means to me, and a presentation that I've given a couple times now with rave reviews, because I think it really fits here. And the bottom line is content that snaps really has these elements that readers can quickly understand the value proposition and why it matters. And that's hard to do. Content crackles when readers smile and laugh, or at least in some way react to the content in some way, and hopefully a personal way that's connecting with them. And again, this is an art to get under the skin of the target audience, to understand what makes them tick. So content pops when it converts, basically, or inspires action. Or you could argue entices people to come back for more, where your readership is going up, your repeat visitation statistics and your analytics are going up. If you're writing good stuff, then it has that pop to it and people are coming back. So to me, those are the elements that we need to focus on moving forward. Does your content snap, crackle, and pop? If so, it was worthy of a higher price. So how do you make that happen if you're both a writer and a client? Well, I have some thoughts on that topic after seeing many years of experience in the industry. My first thought is, look, this is almost a personality match, certainly with writing style and the expectations of customers. I believe the best way to find that personality match is to test writers and to run a contest and to onboard writers and with clients the right way, and likewise onboard clients with writers. So with all of the plus service customers that we bring on to WriterAccess now, we encourage and applaud and actually pay for writing contests. We don't, and here's how it works roughly. You take the same order. First of all, I would make the case that you actually tell a writer that they're involved in a contest, and you disclose that to them, saying, full transparency, I'm looking to build a pool of 2 or 3 writers. I'd like to get a feel for your style. Please take a look at an assignment. We're going to have lots of ongoing work, and we'll welcome you, our team. Just complete the work as you normally would for the price that we're paying. So you set that up, and then boom, you list your instructions and all the elements of the order, and the writer completes the work. And I think critical to the contest is to give that writer the opportunity to revise their content, and to also make yourself have all of the writers revise the content. So no one's guessing, and there's a level playing field with everyone coming up with version 2, not just version 1. Revision requests are critical when you're onboarding writers. Writers are often guessing as to what you like and don't like, partly because instructions are not adequate, and and so there's a lot of guessing that goes on. I mean, it's hard to learn what your company's DNA is and what your expectations are with just a few projects. So you need those revision requests, but I would argue that through that initial experience, you can probably find a pretty good match to take it to the next level and have some additional content being created. This can save a lot of time. We have a lot of customers that will come in and place 10 orders for a writer, with one writer that they'll find themselves, and hopefully they're available. And they'll place it, and they'll get all 10 back, and they don't like the work, so we're all stuck. That's the mistake, and we need to solve that problem by having some contests with a few writers. All the writers should be paid for that contest. I'm not suggesting they don't. That's why we don't mind eating the cost if we have a serious customer that has a long-term vision with us. So I want everybody to understand that. I would never ask writers to do free work, but I want writers to be matched with the right clients, and likewise the other way around. So the next thing to get excited about from my perspective is this premium certification that we're launching. So we've created tests, premium certification tests for copywriter, journalism, and tech writers. We are opening up our this test to our pool of talent so they can receive this badge if they not only pass the test, but you've got to reach a 5-star level for starters to even be eligible to take this test. And once you do that, you can apply for work that would make you eligible for premium orders that start at 10 cents and go up to $1 per word. But we want our testing brought to the equation to give our clients validation that these writers have been tested. These are really hard tests, and you know, Godspeed to and good luck to everybody taking them. But I wanted everyone to know that we are very serious about understanding premium content, quality content, and what the requirements need to be for writers performing that work, and also for customers creating orders for that type of work. So here's a link that you can share with all your friends to a PDF version of my book. I think we're uploading the slightly modified version of this that's going to actual press, so you might be careful when you download this. You're going to get a link in an email, but just know that this the book that you see here, if it has this cover on it, you'll know you have the right version. But the net of it is, this is a link. I want people to share it. Of course, it will be available for sale on Amazon, but you're going to all have the free link, as well as all of our clients and all of our writers at WriterAccess will have this book. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it and get use out of it, and it will help you. You'll have a PDF version of the book. So here's some contact information for me. I am dying to take a look at some questions that everyone may have. Again, I appreciate everyone's time in coming to the presentation today. Really appreciate your support for this webinar series that I do, and the guests that we bring on. Typically, although it's too demanding to ask somebody to present with me on this topic for this particular holiday treat here. So thanks everyone for your support and your continued interest in what we're doing. So I'm going to go now look over the questions and see if anybody is asking anything. If not, we'll send you off to your holiday shopping or wrapping up your work for the day so you can spend more time with your family. But let's see. So yes, the questions are not pouring in yet. Okay, good, thank you. Let's see. Do you have any type of study guide for certifications? Excellent question. Thank you, Sherry. No, I don't. That's a good question. I think my book will greatly help you get set sail. We're also working with a couple of interesting certification companies to try to get access to both writers and clients to training programs, certification programs done by companies that really specialize in that. We don't really even have study guides for the initial test that we have, the initial screening test. So sorry about that. Let's look at the next question. Thanks for the comment on the webinars. Some are thin with content. This one wasn't. Thank you so much. Let's see. When do you anticipate having certified writers available? I believe that when you log in, if you're a writer, you can go. If you're a 5-star writer, I actually think any writer right now can take these tests because we're looking to get a whole scope of tests available for everyone. And we're looking to get a sampling of the difficulty of each of these tests that we've engineered, and therefore we wanted as many people as possible to take the test to get to see how well they do. So I would go back and take a look at that, but we're ready to certify 5-star writers that take the test and do well on the test and to give you your badge. And so we want you to be put to work and be tested not so much with just this initial screening test, but with performance with customers, because of course that's what matters in the end. And you need to, certainly qualify with our initial screening, but you also need to, to perform well and do well. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Okay. So what is the link to your PDF download? Okay, let me go back to that. Whoops. Show the slide again. Hang on one sec. Let me get that for you, actually. Here it is right here. I will pop that up again, and actually we'll just pause on that actual slide, knowing that everybody wants that link. Snap, crackle, and pop. Here we go. So it's writerAccess.com/writingskillguide.com. So that's the link. And again, you will get a link to that in your email, but feel free to share that. We have sub-certifications by industry. We actually do have industry certified badges. Yes is the answer to that question. We will have a new badge for industry elite is what we call it. And once you qualify and perform enough projects in a particular industry, you'll get a single industry elite badge, but it looks exactly like those other badges. I could show that to you. You get the concept of what all of those badges look like. I can show you that again. So it's in this family of design, and it will be on your profile page. And those will all go up, in January. So look for all this to happen like in the next couple of weeks. How long is the application for? The application is very quickly. Once you take the test and we just need enough sample results and we feel you're good to go, we will approve you immediately and let the algorithm take over, as we always do, with your premium certification in one of those 3 areas. So you'll be therefore eligible for premium paying jobs. More importantly, remember one thing. All writers right now on our platform are eligible for premium jobs. A client decides who they want to choose. We're just trying to help the marketing of writers with these badges, suggesting that, hey, this writer has earned the respect of clients in our platform and us as screeners to be eligible for premium orders. Likewise, a client could see that you have a premium badge and still request that they work with you on 3-star orders. You can say, no, I don't do 3-star orders anymore. That's fine. But you'll earn your premium badge, and you'll earn the right to say, I need to be paid more based upon both the screening test, a simple test. It's not that simple, it's hard, but as well as your performance. Hopefully that helped you answer your question. Okay. Will you offer the PowerPoint slides of this deck for download? Yes, I will. That will again come in the email. All of my decks and all of my presentations are recorded. They're available on WriterAccess, and you can download the decks. So just know this will be available. Thanks for the question. Are you considering writers living outside of the U.S. in the near future? I'm an expat freelancer. Thanks, great presentation. Thanks for tuning in. The answer to that is yes. We are. I'd like to know what country you live in. Actually, that would be interesting. But yes, we need to expand our reach beyond the U.S. borders, and I believe we do so in Canada right now. I have to think about that a little bit. But yes, we do need to expand our horizons. We're looking closely at doing that. Our vision right now is to try to focus a little bit on designer access and coder access, 2 expansion markets that we hope to open in early 2014. We do love the U.S. marketplace and the business opportunity. We understand the customers here. So that's kind of why we're here. But personally, I have interest in in expanding, particularly over into Europe. I'm a graduate of the London School of Economics and want to get back to that, to my land over there, where I learned so much about life and academics. So look for that, and of course Australia, New Zealand, other great markets to look at, U.S. speaking. But the world's the oyster. I'm not sure if anybody heard about the merger of Odesk and Elance. They're in a lot of countries right now. So look for us to make some announcements moving forward. Thanks for the interest. So without further ado, that's there are no other questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to chime in. But I think we'll take this time to cut this short and send everyone on their way. Really appreciate the opportunity to chat with all of you today. Thanks very much, and hope you have a great 2014. And more importantly, I hope that our company is moving in the right direction, trying to be the snowplow, if you will, in the marketplace to educate and acclimate on customers and writers on getting understanding that the more you pay, the more you will get when it comes to writing. So thanks everyone, appreciate that, and send me any feedback you want. Let me just put up my contact information one more time real quick. Whoa, I went out, sorry. Well, I think you all have it, so there you go, there's contact. So do reach out to me, do send me any feedback you possibly could on this presentation. I really appreciate it and learn a lot from it, and it pumps me up and motivates me to have another great presentation for everyone. So I do appreciate that. Thanks very much. So until next month, everyone, which by the way will be our 50th webinar in January. And I have to tell you, I've mapped out some really interesting topics for 2014. I won't dive into them now, so we'll have some fun excitement to share as we track along. But some great guest speakers, some great topics we're taking on, and hopefully we're making the world a better place with a great marketplace and great talent and great clients like the people listening in today. So thanks everyone. Happy holidays. We'll see you next month. Thanks. Bye-bye.